Imagine this, you give your whole heart, your time, your effort, only to hear the words, "You're not needed anymore." But what if, at the very moment you walk away, someone powerful, someone you never expected to care, stops you and says, "No. It's not okay." This is the story of a woman who thought she was invisible, and a CEO who showed her that sometimes, the right person sees everything you've done, even when the world refuses to. Amara sat quietly in the corner of the boardroom, her notepad filled with scribbles of strategies, designs, and solutions no one had bothered to hear. She had been working at Lawson Enterprises for 3 years, pouring her soul into projects, staying late while others left, and ensuring that every presentation ran seamlessly. But today, her efforts felt invisible. The team was preparing for the annual investors' meeting, the one event that could determine the company's future. Amara had developed a concept. Something bold, something that could revolutionize their approach. Yet when the discussion began, her manager spoke over her, presenting watered-down ideas that sounded eerily similar to her own. Her chest tightened as she realized, once again, her voice had been stolen. She wanted to speak up, but every time she tried, someone louder filled the silence. By the time the meeting ended, she had sunk into herself. The room emptied, leaving only her with her stack of unused notes. She sat still for a moment, then whispered under her breath, "It's okay. I'll go." It wasn't the first time she had said it to herself. It was a mantra, a quiet acceptance of being overlooked. This time, however, she meant more than leaving the room. She meant leaving the company, maybe even leaving the dream she had carried for so long. She gathered her things and walked toward the door, her head down. But before she reached it, a voice cut through the silence. Deep, firm, commanding. "No." Amara froze. She turned slowly to see him, the CEO himself, Ethan Lawson, standing by the window. Tall, composed, with eyes that could pierce through excuses and walls alike. He had been silent through the meeting, observing everyone. And now, he stepped forward. "No, Amara. It's not okay." Her heart stopped. Did he even know her name? He walked closer, his tone unwavering. "I saw you try to speak. I saw your work in the folders they didn't let you show. And I've seen the hours you stay behind when no one else does. Don't think for one second that I haven't noticed." Amara's eyes burned with tears she had held back for years. For the first time, someone acknowledged her, not as a shadow, but as someone who mattered. But the doubt in her heart whispered louder than his words. "It doesn't change anything," she said softly, her voice cracking. "I'm not strong enough for this world, Mr. Lawson. People like me, we get overlooked. And maybe it's better to just go quietly." He shook his head. "You're wrong." That was the moment everything began to shift. The following day, Ethan called an emergency meeting. The entire leadership team sat puzzled, murmuring about why the CEO would interrupt their schedules so suddenly. Amara sat in the back, feeling out of place. She wanted to disappear, but Ethan's glance anchored her to her seat. When the room settled, he stood before them and said words that made everyone fall silent. "We are here today because there's been a failure in this company, a failure to recognize the people who make it what it is. And I won't allow it to continue." He gestured toward Amara. "This is Amara. She is the reason last quarter's project didn't collapse. She is the reason our designs stay consistent. And yesterday, I watched her almost walk out of this building, not because she isn't good enough, but because too many of you refuse to listen." Murmurs rippled through the room. Some shifted uncomfortably, others looked down in shame. Amara wanted to sink into her chair, but Ethan's gaze kept her still. "Amara," he said, his voice gentler now, "show them what you were going to present yesterday." Her hands trembled as she stood, her heart hammering against her ribs. She wanted to refuse, to hide, but something inside her whispered that maybe, for once, this was her moment. She opened her laptop and began. The room that once silenced her now leaned in with focused eyes. Slide by slide, she spoke with a fire she didn't know she had. She explained strategies, customer insights, and innovative solutions that painted a clear, bold vision for the future of Lawson Enterprises. When she finished, the room erupted into stunned silence. Then, slowly, applause began, first from Ethan, then from others who finally saw what they had missed. For the first time, Amara's voice filled the room, not as an echo, but as a force. After the meeting, Ethan approached her. "Do you see now? It's not about being loud, it's about being true. And the world needs your truth." Tears slid down her cheeks, but this time, they weren't from pain. They were from release, from the weight finally lifting. In the weeks that followed, Amara's project became the centerpiece of the company's new direction. More importantly, she discovered her strength, not in waiting for permission to be heard, but in believing her voice mattered in the first place. And every time she thought of that moment, the whisper of, "It's okay, I'll go," she remembered the voice that answered louder, "No, it's not okay." So often in life, we whisper to ourselves that it's okay to shrink, to walk away, to give up. But sometimes, all it takes is one person who sees us, truly sees us, to remind us that it's not okay to disappear. And maybe that person can be a boss, a friend, or even, ourselves. Because the truth is, your voice matters. Your presence matters. And walking away from your worth is never, ever okay.